Well, last night it was made official that the dream match everybody's been clamoring for the past several years, even before AEW came into existence, is going to happen this Wednesday at Arthur Ashe Stadium on night one of the Grand Slam event. Well, basically, the Grand Slam event is going to be in one night, but from a television perspective, it's going to be two nights. The plan basically is to tape 2 hours of Rampage for night two, and then night one will be Dynamite, which, schedule-wise, you'll probably wonder exactly how they're going to make that happen. Like, who's going to go on first, Dynamite or Rampage? A lot of folks would assume Rampage because, you want to really give enough time and emphasis to Danielson and Omega. But yeah, like I said, this is a dream matchup fans have been clamoring for years. They've been clamoring for years to see, and I think they briefly saw some kind of interaction with them when they were both in FCW, and that was it. This is why, when Don Callis came out and mentioned that Omega knows about Danielson, he's referencing basically the time in Florida Championship Wrestling, the developmental territory that is now known as NXT, or in this case, NXT 2.0. But here's the obvious, question I'm sure some people will have. Why now? Why blow it off now? Well, it's kind of like with Christian Cage. With Christian Cage, they could have easily saved the match for All Out. But what they're doing is they're testing the waters. Basically they're testing the waters on how people will be receptive to, a matchup, of this caliber. Like when they did Christian Cage and Omega for the Impact title on Rampage, they did it because they were testing the waters to see how fans would be receptive to the match in total, so that if the justify or basically the reception is justifiable, then they know they've made the right decision to go with Christian as Omega's opponent at All Out. And the same goes here with Danielson against Omega. They know eventually you got to go Danielson and Omega, possibly for the title in the future if Omega is still champion, and that is true. You still have to try to go in that direction, if you will. But for right now, and Danielson said it himself, all this really is about to see who is the best, to see if Kenny can back up his claim of being the best. And what's interesting about this segment last night is, to me, it started really planting the seeds, if not started to slowly fertilize the seeds that were already planted when Adam Cole came back. Because, let's be honest, we know this history between Cole and Omega, and we know that, it seems that the Bucks are more receptive to Cole being there. And I'm not saying Omega isn't either, but you kind of get what I'm saying. And also, when you think about it, Cole, very noticeably, has not been really acknowledging the Good Brothers, who are also part of the Elite as well. He's not been acknowledging them, which basically, to me, plants more fertilizing seeds, or more seeds, if you will, to be fertilized in the future. Now, what does this all have to do with, Danielson and Omega? Well, basically, Danielson called out Omega's manhood, basically saying that, you're no longer who you say you are. And even if you are, you're not the same. That, basically what Bryan Danielson did is he said, look, what you become is a shell of your old self, because you're relying on, people to do your, fighting for you or to help save your butt. You're relying on this guy to do talking for you. What happened basically to the best bout machine, bell to bell? What happened to him? What happened to the cleaner? What happened to the god of wrestling? Basically, he questioned his overall integrity, and Callis obviously knew that Danielson is capable of doing that, pushing the right buttons. And this is what caused Omega to accept the match, which even the announcers and the commentators are like, well, Callis didn't like that. Which to me, sows in the seeds and waters them a little bit, fertilizes them a little bit to be grown. Because we should know by now, let's not deny what we know by now, that Adam Cole showing up, we knew it was probably going to happen anyway. Without a shadow of a doubt, we knew it was probably going to happen anyway. But with him showing up, that pretty much laid the foundation for the beginning of a Kenny Omega babyface turn. That is a fact. It basically planted the seeds for an Omega face turn. Why? Because now here you have Adam Cole. Here's a guy the Bucks are glad to see. Here's a guy that doesn't even want to acknowledge other members, like the Good Brothers in the Elite, who have helped Omega out in between AEW and Impact. And here's a guy that does have a history with Kenny Omega, sometimes not so well, but also feels that he, is just as good, if not better than maybe Omega, but we don't see that. And Omega right now doesn't see it. And to me, with Cole showing up, in addition to him not referencing the Good Brothers, now you add in Danielson basically calling out Omega to be the best bout machine that he says he is, to be the god of wrestling, to basically be a man, be a champion, do his own fighting, in a one-on-one match against him. You add that on top of the other things that I just mentioned, and you are basically building very slowly, but you're building towards a face turn for Kenny Omega in the near future. And what that's going to do is that's going to lead to Adam Cole being the one that basically causes the turn to happen, causes the Bucks to turn by having them maybe super kick the Good Brothers. Then you're having Cole super kick Omega. And then the cherry on top is you would have Callis being the one that orchestrated the whole thing by basically siding with them and, calling out Omega and the brothers for not listening to him, because if they would have listened to him, this wouldn't have happened. So, to me, when I look at last night's segment, with, Danielson and Omega, and what we got out of that, and the fact that it was Omega that accepted, despite Callis's protest, that to me basically not only sowed in the seeds, but it fertilized and watered them. And if you don't want to use that adjective, that to me, using another adjective, laid more foundation down, more sturdy, strong, structural foundation to be built upon as we get towards that face turn for Omega, because we all know it's coming. And basically, it's a multi-part, system. It's a multi-part system, or multi-part system that they're building on, multi-part story that they're building upon, if you will. And again, the first couple of parts have been already put into place. Cole showing up, Cole not acknowledging the Good Brothers, and now you have the third part of Danielson challenging Omega and basically calling out his integrity to be who he says he is, basically calling out, his manhood and stuff. That's the third part, so we'll see how long they hold off until we get to the next part, which would be the fourth and fifth parts. We'll see how long they hold off. They may hold off for a couple of months. They may hold off to the end of the year. We don't know. But to me, last night's moment, that segment, to me, solidified, in my opinion, the fact that we're getting a face turn by Omega in the future, which is why Cole is now in the Elite, because he's going to take over Omega's duties as the face of the Elite. And as a result of Omega going face, we're going to see him be ousted along with the Good Brothers down the line. But that's just my speculation. That's just what I'm feeling speculating on as to what I see happening. But what do you guys think? Do you think maybe I'm grasping for straws? Or do you think last night's segment between Omega and Danielson, basically continued to lay the foundation down, the building blocks down for this inevitably to happen? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. Live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Check out the Teespring store for merchandise and all that. And I will talk to you all later.